everyone. Welcome to Cannes. Is this everyone's first day or second day? First. Well, I'm fresh off of a 9-hour flight from Birmingham, Alabama. So I'm certainly really excited to be in the south of France right now. Thank you so much for having us. My name is Ashley Miles, founder and CEO of Franklyn West. We're an elite boutique consultancy that helps innovative companies grow and scale in the new economy with the rising, growing liquid fractional workforce, where we have domain expertise across any domain within a business that we plug and play talent. But also we bring the best of the best technology providers and new AI solutions to our clients like Lowe's, Samsung, P&G, as well as mid-sized startups. Because CEOs are looking to do things differently. The job of a marketer or a creative has never been harder, with innovation never sleeping. CEOs are demanding more for less, faster, which makes all of our jobs very complicated. And the third is there's old playbooks, but new problems we're all faced with. So that's why I'm so inspired to be here, is to really collaborate and figure out how do we bring all the brightest minds and technologies together to help our companies get to the next level, to help our careers get to the next level. And I now have the pleasure to introduce someone who I admire so much. That's Aubriana Lopez, the founder and CEO of Agnitio.AI. We're going to learn a lot from her today. Aubriana and I met when she was at Samsung, and Franklyn West was doing a lot of work and a lot of innovative things with Aubriana. And I was so inspired by her because when she's at Samsung, she was really that disruptor, entrepreneurial employee within the company, always looking for what's new and next. And she called me and said, I think I'm going to go build my own company because I see what AI is doing. I am an expert in the space, and I'm ready to apply all of my expertise to a portfolio of companies versus just one big Fortune 100 company. So I say all that to say, through this process, we have become dear friends, and I'm so proud of her. And to be here with all of you and to share her with all of you is really awesome. Welcome.
Ashley. Thank you. So excited to be here.
Before we dive into the fireside chat, just tell everyone about what you're up to in general and be shameless. Like, just sell us on what you're doing.
Oh, goodness. Okay, so as of January, I left Samsung and I co-founded a company called Agnitio.AI. And we are a purpose-built for media operations agentic orchestration platform. We're going to break down what that means, okay? I know that's like a lot of buzzwords, but really what I was noticing and through my time at Samsung and my prior years in the ad tech industry was really how do we solve some of these challenges that I'm interacting with day to day, right? It was taking so long to get feedback, to get QBRs out, to get the insights, to build products around. And I just saw this challenge and I thought to myself, okay, there's got to be a better way. I mean, we're at Samsung, right? This is like one of the most prominent players in the industry with massive amounts of data. And I realized this is not a problem that's just, my company specific. This is something that's really around the advertising ecosystem. And so I'm sure that if I was feeling frustrated, everybody else was feeling frustrated as well. And so I joined forces with a couple of friends that I've known in the industry for many years that are much more technical than I am. And I said, we've got to solve this problem. So that's what we set out to do. And that's what I've been working on very hard for probably the last 6 months.
Well, every great company starts with a pain point and a challenge, right? Yeah. And so you were in it and you felt the pain of not being able to move and innovate at the speed you wanted to. So that's really exciting that you're doing this.
Yes.
So you've been at it, now about going on a year of just being in the trenches and all of that good stuff. Without a filter, help us to understand the way you see marketing organizations maybe of the past and today and what's happening. Like, just rip the Band-Aid.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. I think everybody's expected to do so much more with less, right? There's a lot of pressure. I was telling Ashley on the way over here, I was like, I think that the marketing world is like Cannes every day, but without the rosé and the fun parties, right? Like you're sweating, you're rushing from thing to thing, you're trying to like move things from one place to the next, one team to the next, and it's just disconnected and disjointed. And so I think that that's the reality, is that we keep progressing in advertising, but I don't know that the way that it works has ever functionally been great. And I think that there's always been room for improvement, but right now we're just, I think, having this like center squish, right? Where technology is rising and the orders from the top down are constricting us. And so it's like, how do we move and where do we move? And so I think we're all feeling that pressure, right?
So how do we create more of a flow,
Yes.
and more efficiency, more innovation, but more of a playbook? There is no playbook right now.
There's no playbook. I think that we're starting to realize there can be a playbook, right? Yeah. We're having these really impactful conversations to say, hey, how do we bring all the different players together? And how do we stop thinking about it as a tech stack? I mean, when I think about stacks, I think about like laundry, not a positive thing. I want to think about orchestration. Like, how do I beautifully create music with the creative and reach people like emotionally? That's what we want to focus on. And so how do we free up the chaotic stacking part and make it just work more seamlessly across the board?
Right. Now, Agentic.AI, can you please, like, no jargon. What is Agentic.AI?
Okay.
What's the definition? How should we be thinking about it? Simplify this for us.
Yes, I've been working on all of my analogies because my parents were like, for the last 20 years, like, what do you do? Can you explain it to us? Like, how do we explain it to your grandparents, right?
My mother this weekend introduced me to a friend. They said, what does she do? And she said, I'm a PR agent.
Okay.
And I'm like, Mom, I'm not in PR. Like, I don't.
I know.
It's how. So, yeah, what's the definition? How does this work?
So I think of Agentic.AI as just a digital coworker, okay? So you have somebody that can do repeatable things without a human necessarily having to interact with it, but with human oversight. So you are simply orchestrating the things that you do. So maybe that's responding to a creative brief, responding to an RFP with a campaign brief. Perhaps that's customizing your audiences for a specific outcome, or perhaps it's sending 20 emails and doing those things. That is agentic. So an agent can handle those on your behalf, but not necessarily replacing you. It's simply aiding and assisting you without the need to constantly handhold like you would do with generative, right? Where you're typing and saying, show me this, show me that. No, tweak this, now tweak that. It's actually doing those tasks for you. What I like to say is the state of advertising operations and media operations today. I was explaining it to my parents. I was like, imagine if you had a car and every single wheel had a different engine. They don't talk to each other, and you have to program this tire to go this direction and then go to the next tire and then go to the next and the next. That's what's happening today. And I think that what we're saying is that we're a layer that sits on top of those tires, and we make all of them move together at the same time without having to rip out all of those separate engines. Like, that's what we're doing, and that's what Agentic in essence is doing. So hopefully that's a easier, more
Is it more
way to do it.
behind the scenes, or is it more in the driver's seat in terms of just workflow or client facing? Is this more automated tasks on the back end? Can you give us an example as well of maybe a client and how they're incorporating it the right way?
Sure. So one thing that we're seeing is building a taxonomy, for example, can be really complicated for people sometimes, and you want to build a taxonomy really quickly. So I want to say, hey, I would like to reach this brand, and here's this brand's website. Could you build me an audience taxonomy? And then could you build me a campaign to reach this specific audience? And I can do that in a matter of moments now, versus having to do the research and dig into what kind of audience and data resources I have. You know, it's more of like a gut feeling versus what's going to perform best for me. So that is a very like open and shut case of how you can use it very quickly and save multiple hours of time whenever you're trying to get things done.
And so I guess what I'd ask next is, how do we make Agentic.AI more actionable? So what should this group we leave today, and how can we start applying it to our own businesses? Also knowing that as innovative as we want to be, we're also risk adverse, and we don't want something running and, disrupting our reputations or our business.
Or our jobs.
Or our jobs.
Well, first, I think before I answer that, I just want to set the stage and say I think we need to shift the narrative that we're telling ourselves. I think that as an industry, a lot of us are saying, oh my gosh, AI is coming for my job. What am I going to do? And I think we need to shift that story. So first, I would say, before you do anything, start telling yourself, like, this is an opportunity for me to thrive. This is an opportunity for me to grow, and this is an opportunity for me to lead. So I think when you shift that narrative and then you think about, okay, how can I implement this in my business and in my career? That's where I would say, okay, now you can start with something like, number one, take an assessment, right? Audit, what are the things that I'm doing that are repeatable? What am I doing over and over and over again in my day-to-day tasks? What are the things, secondly, that my team, I'm waiting on other teams or other members to do that get handed off to me? That would be the second thing. And then the third is like, what can I maybe do that would scale? Is there things that I could help that could be like quicker, faster, that would help me drive more business? So I think when you start with those audits, it's then you say, okay, what's like one proof of concept test that I can do? Could I try out an agent for RFP responses? How much time would that save me? So I think that's like one simple takeaway is like start with an audit, understand where you are, and then kind of prioritize like what's one thing I could try to automate or potentially reach out to a partner to say, could we proof of concept this? Like how would this look in my day-to-day life?
And so then let's say these marketers leave and say, okay, I want to start experimenting. How should they approach their employees or firms who might be skeptical or have fear around the AI evolution?
Well, I think that let's get excited about what could be, right? In a world where we're running from meeting to meeting, from task to task, and we're waiting, we're also hearing from up above, like we've got to do more, but you cannot hire. I mean, how many of you would like to add 30 people to your teams tomorrow? I think everybody would, right? So I would say, hey guys, like, would you like to have your evenings back? Would you like to not be responding to emails this evening and just like get to hang out with your kids or go on a date with your boyfriend or, just do some laundry and hang out? I think that there's like so many different things that you think about when you're like, what could I free up my time to do? Yeah. And then think about the mental capacity that you have to be creative. And isn't that why we're all here? Like we're creatives. Yeah. So it's not just a technology. This is really about how do we free our minds up to be able to wonder again? Because I think that we've stopped wondering and being curious. So be curious and then invite your team to be curious with you, right?
So getting out of the mundane tasks, the tedious tasks, to free up for a more innovative world, building a more innovative brands, more innovative companies, more scaled revenues, et cetera.
Yeah, and I think stepping away from, not all of us own our own companies. So what does this mean to you and your career? What can you learn that you can take somewhere else? Like, hey, I was an orchestrator of this, and I learned how to implement it, and I saved the company 30 full-time employees over the course of a year. Like, hello, like I don't need to even see your resume. I'm hiring, right? I think that that's kind of what you're bringing is that you're upscaling yourself almost immediately.
So with all of these new technologies, new talent models, all of these new ways of building and scaling businesses and careers, what would you say? I just see it all through a lens of optimism and abundance. We have more tools in our arsenal to be successful, right? What do you see as a modern, high-performing marketing organization? Or like, what is the blend of liquid talent, tech? Like, what's changed? Give us maybe, and I know it's a little too early to say, but not really. No. I mean, what's the ratio, what's the makeup and DNA of the highest possible performing marketing organization today?
Yeah, well, we've talked a lot about this, you and I have, and I think that we're going to see a future where you have liquid talent, that's rising, and you may have people that want to come in and help. Perhaps they're helping you set up your orchestration layer. They're helping you implement this Agentic.AI, and then they're kind of pulling out as soon as they set you up, right? They're helping you build the car, teaching you how to drive it, and then turning you the keys over. And I know that that's what you're doing, right? Which is amazing. And so it's more like, how do we balance this to where we just enable the teams to grow and thrive at the status that they're at without having to, I think we're already outsourcing, right? We're doing that already, but how do we do it, I think, more effectively?
Yeah.
And I think that that's really what we're doing. And I would also say that the marketers who are going to thrive, just like coming out of this, are not the ones that have the biggest budgets. They're the ones that are willing to kind of take that step and they're ones that are willing to lead. And that's, leading with ideas, leading with orchestration, and obviously like with empathy. I mean, that's really important as well.
So with 4 minutes and 31 seconds left, we could go. I'm like, can't we have an hour?
Oh no, it's too hot for an hour.
Go up after this.
Okay. What are the watch outs? I know we kind of talked about, we're all innovators here, but we are risk adverse at the same time. So like, without a filter, what should we be watching out for? Because there's a million vendors reaching out to all of us every day with new solutions, new tricks up their sleeve. What are the watch outs?
I would say watch how these companies are dealing with privacy. I think that's something we really need to take into consideration. The open tools that are available to us are great, but whenever you're dealing with customer data, sensitive data, you really want to think about where does that live and how am I training the models? Obviously, we want to approach things to ensure that the AI is built to make the right decisions that we would make, right? And that's why it's amazing to see all these women in AI building. It's like, how do we build with equity? How do we build with understanding who our consumers are and taking into consideration all of that diversity that we really need to grasp? That's really going to help us, I would say, be successful. Yeah. And then last, I would say, just do some simple research. Get into ChatGPT, try things that the vendors say they do, and see what the difference is. I mean, it's pretty simple. You can compare those, like, right and left. Like, what does ChatGPT do for an RFP response? Is it any good, or is it kind of just like out there? Is it something I would actually send to a client? Start with some of those tests before, and then you kind of know what you're going to get when you start testing these vendors. And then
more learning, more experimentation, more confidence around getting educated, and just throwing ourselves in the arena and testing and learning from there.
Throwing yourselves in the arena, it sounds like
like I get excited by that.
I don't know. I think of like Gladiator, and it's kind of got one outcome most of the time. I would say just like throw yourselves into in the water, right? Go for a swim.
That's nice.
That sounds better right now.
Much more elegant. This might or might not involve AI.
Okay.
But my last question would be, what is inspiring you most right now? I mean, you just took this, 9-hour flight to Cannes. What's energizing you these days?
Oh, we're in a beautiful place. This is just giving energy. And all of you, I can just see like the smiles back at me are giving me energy. But honestly, I think it's just so exciting to see the different types of people that are entering the space. We both have 2 daughters, and so like seeing women active in this, seeing I would say like diverse backgrounds come and lead is just amazing. And I love, I was thinking about this morning, like there's not that many Latinas that are like running AI companies, and I just thought, wow, this is such a cool moment. This is such a cool moment, and I just love like seeing people be, maybe the first or part of the first, and it's like, what's stopping us? You just feel like, wow. So that's so inspirational to me, and seeing all of your beautiful faces. Like, this is a diverse crowd here, and we're all just like doing something new in this new space, and it's an exciting future right now. Yeah.
Well, I'm just as inspired as you are. I think what's energizing me is that change is good, and anytime change comes up, whether that's, even if it's a shitty political, season, or if it's, a big change in your company or a big career change, one thing I've learned is that through change, whether it feels good or bad, it's always hard. But digging in and reflecting and getting educated and getting immersed and networking, what we realize is there's opportunity to create a more positive impact. There's new solutions to be created, and you could be a part of whatever those new solutions are for your company, your industry. And I leave us with, keep your eyes wide open this week, be optimistic. There's always opportunity. Don't come at things through a scarcity mindset. Have a growth mindset and find new ways forward. Old models, old solutions will not work for today. So we know that. So then this week for all of us means investigating new models, new technology solutions, new relationships to drive our businesses and our careers forward. that is about it, sadly. But I would love to open it up for a Q&A because we've seen so many smiling faces and head nods, which we appreciate, especially being 9 hours off of a flight and getting dressed in 10 minutes. It was not cute. But what questions do you have? Yeah.
So I completely agree with you on the T's you have to know about the T's. You have to know what you're committing to using any of these platforms. How are you helping educate the industry kind of beyond just these events and stuff to make sure that everyone is aware that we really need to be looking at the fine print before we start jumping in the deep end of the pool, kind of in some of those ways with some of the technologies out there?
I think that's a great question. I mean, I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to do a better job as AI startups are coming together to effectively provide more industry education. I don't think that there's a lot of platforms for that, but there's certainly a number of those that are growing. So I think of like AI Marketers Guild, like things that you could be a part of, you can join the conversation. And then a lot of times it just happens to be in our one-on-one conversations from a business perspective, as I'm sure yours is as well, right? We're sharing what our approach is and how we're making sure that we're protecting our customers' privacy and why we've chosen to take certain technology approaches versus others. But that's the way that I see it. I think there's a lot of opportunity, though, for more industry education in a streamlined way.
So who here is ready to kind of swim in the waters, and who here is ready to jump into the arena? I'm just curious. Waters? Everybody's water.
I'll go arena.
Arena.
All right.
And what about this gives you the confidence to say that? Why the arena?
Why the arena? Well, it's the confidence in why I decided to do this summit.
Okay.
I think, and I said this morning, I fundamentally believe that the transformations that are occurring because of AI have the ability to have such a profound impact. But it requires the right people to be in that arena. It requires people with real intentions that understand the potential consequences and implications for a broader society. That's why it's so important to have people representing all cultures, all genders, all ways of living, because there are solutions that can be found using AI that we haven't been able to find.
Yeah.
So for me, jumping in the arena is because this is moving so quickly. And if we hesitate, it's like surfing. If you hesitate, you get crashed by the wave. But if you get out there, you can ride that wave all the way in. And that is the most important thing, I think, particularly for women right now. Get in. Get in now. You don't have to be a technologist. You don't have to be someone who's been in technology for all these years and been a coder and a programmer. You need to be someone who's looking to solve a problem.
Yeah.
And you have a really clear why in doing it.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm jumping in the arena.
One thing I've learned, we're a self-funded, female-led startup. We're 5 years in. Franklyn West launched during the pandemic. And so I was in corporate, more as a CRO, chief commercial officer type of disruptor brands. And in this 5 years, the number one thing I have learned out of all of the stops and starts and hardship of entrepreneurialism is that you can solve any problem if you're surrounded by the right people. Trust, integrity, expertise. Have they done the job before? Has this technology been proven before? Like, if you're surrounded by the best, you can exceed expectation. I never thought we would launch a $250 million new revenue stream for a Fortune 50 retailer as our first client. Like, that is, how did that happen? It's not because of me. It's because we had the most incredible SWAT team of experts on that, and it wasn't a big team, right? And we had the best technologies to help. So I just want to put that out there, that you don't have to have the biggest budget and the largest team and the most fabulous technology. It's about getting smart and scrappy with the very best people.
I love that. I love that. Well, it is warm out here. I can't thank you two ladies enough. Everyone give them another round of applause.
Thank you, guys.